In this occasion, I want to explain a little about all the topic of this first module. The first topic is teaching listening. The ability to listening, as we know, is one of the most important macro abilities that learners must develop. So, and as a teacher, we have the responsibility to help our students improve this skill every day, right? So, the importance of developing this skill in learning as it serves a bridge to obtain information, to enjoy, to understand, to learn, and to communicate. So, and to make learning effective, we must stimulate our listening with songs, short stories, podcasts, where we can acquire precise reference of the most important details. When teachers are developing the ability of listening skill, it is important to take into consideration the different type of listening performance in the classroom. For example, the first one, reactive, where the student focus simply on listening and repeating, right? So intensive, where the only objective is focused on the component. Attentive listening consists on immediately processing the teacher's speech and crafting an appropriate response. So the next one, selective, selectively scanning of material for certain information. So the next one, extensive. This can range from listening to long lecture to listening a conversation and delivering an oral message or purpose, right? So and finally, interactive. A student can participate actively in discussion, debate, conversation, role plays, and other plays and group works. The third topic is teaching and speaking. As we know, another very important skill is the ability to speak, right? So, science through it, we can make oral communication with other individuals possible. There are 5 oral communication skills in the pedagogical research. For example, conversational speech, teaching pronunciation, accuracy and fluency, effective factors, and interaction effect. Okay, these communication skills are very important part of speech learning and development, right? Also, within the topic, we talk a little bit about the type of classroom performance. For example, imitation, intensive, response, transactional, interpersonal, extensive. So, the next topic is speaking difficulties, principle for teaching speaking, right? So, in this topic, we talk about the speech difficulties that are similar to the listening difficulty, which are 8, 8 that we talked about before. But in this case, they will be applied to speech and not to listening, right? So, for example, the number 1, clustering, redundancy, reducing for, and performance variables, colloquial language, rate of delivery, stress, rhythm, intonation, and interaction. So, also, we make reference to certain principles for the teaching and development of speaking skills, right? I will mention 3 of them. The number 1 will be focused on both fluency and accuracy, depending on your objective, right? So the number 2 will be provide intrinsic motivating techniques. The number 3 provide appropriate feedback and correction. The topic number 5 is teaching and reading. Like other skills, reading skills are an important element to develop when learning a second language. This allows us to be creative and help us to acquire a new knowledge and improve and enrich our vocabulary every day. Also, here we can find certain factors or elements that affect the teaching of reading skill. The first case is bottom-up processing, where reading must first recognize a multiplicity of language signals and use their language data processing mechanism to impose some sort of order of this signal, right? And the second one, top-down. In this process, we rely on our intelligence and experience to understand a text thought. So some strategies for reading comprehension are identify the purpose of in reading, is how to say the main idea, to use efficient reading techniques for improving fluency, read minds, and use semantic mapping or clustering. In other words, is associate a different group of words and word for word. Analyze the vocabulary is other strategy for reading comprehension. So the topic number 6 is teaching reading. There are many reasons for to teach reading skills. So I think it's very important to teach reading skill because it can indirectly facilitate oral expression. I think that reading is a graphic representation of the some and ideas. For that reason, the student must know about grammar and different phonetic sound and develop more extensive knowledge about a second language. So through reading, we can make use of our creativity, right? And imagination, because when we write, we must think about how to order our ideas, right? In this way, we develop more tone. Also, teaching the skill of reading or reading skills. It gives students a tool of channels through which they can internalize. Therefore, teachers should encourage reading skill and learning so that they can build and create texts on interesting topic, developing their creativity and thinking in a second language. In this way, their vocabulary will grow each time the learning practice. So the characteristics of reading language and reading view are, for example, permanence, production time, distance, orthography, complexity, and vocabulary. So that is all in this first module, and thank you.